Okay, thank you very much. I'm super delighted to be here. So I'm Jonas Kjellberg, serial entrepreneur, author, investor. As you heard, I had the great pleasure of actually being part of this little company called Skype, that later became Skype. I'm also an investor. I invested over 400 million euros into a little small company, shoe company called Zalando. I don't know if you know it, but it actually became quite big. It's today listed on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. I was also the chairman of the board of a company called iCloud. I thought, putting things in the cloud would be very important. And that also became quite successful because I was mostly lucky because it was sold to Apple. I'm also today in the board of the digital board of IKEA. And I have started more than 40, 50 companies in my life. I started a company called Player.io, Nunuba, and Kenetworks. I sold all of them to Yahoo. So if you ever have a company that is not working out, call Yahoo, because they buy nearly everything. And as you heard, my life has always been about changing the game. My passion is basically, when I get up every morning, is to try to understand how can I take a perfectly working business model and destroy it. That's my passion. But after I had the opportunity of selling Skype, my problem was basically most of my ventures actually never worked. So most of my ventures actually today still fail. Is that because I like failure? No, I hate failure. People say you should embrace it. I really hate it. The thing is, I like taking risk. And I was quite puzzled, still am, why do some companies succeed and why do some not? So after Skype, I had the opportunity to go to Stanford and started teaching. If you ever have time in your life, go to Stanford. It's a great place. And I did. But after a while, my professor, Tom Kosnick, he came up to me and said, Jonas, it's great that you're here. The students love you. There's only one little challenge. And that is, we've noticed you haven't read the books that you're teaching about. Okay, fair point. I don't know how many here have read the American management literature. But if you haven't, most of these books are actually shit boring. So I said to Tom, why don't we do something different? Why don't we write a book about all your research at Harvard and publish it? Now you've been here at Stanford, been at the pinnacle of starting company. He said, that's a great idea. And we did. But I said, if we're going to do it, I want to do it my way. So I said, let's launch a book that is 100 pages long and half has to be pictures. He was not utterly convinced, I'll tell you that. I said, let's do it anyway. I think this is what the world needs. And then we were super proud when we had our first copies. And we sent it to his former colleagues at Harvard. What do you think they said? This is so sweet, Tom. Have you done a children's book? And he was totally devastated. He said, Jonas, we have to cancel it. It's my reputation. It will never fly. And I said, Tom, who cares about, a bunch of Harvard professors? Let's talk to the real guys, the publishers of the world. So I spent a lot of time talking to the big publishers. What do you think they said when they saw this book? Well, what they said is, Kjellberg, the children's department is down the hall. And no one actually wanted to publish the book. I even got formal letters sent home to me. Dear Mr. Kjellberg, we wish you great success somewhere else. So I said, okay, I started a lot of companies. How hard can it be to actually publish a book? You print it on paper and start selling it. And since I was pissed with the whole industry, I went back and I wrote another book. And this book has only pictures. So now there's a third book published by Wiley, one of the most prestigious publishing houses in the world. Why would they publish my book? Well, I think the simple perspective is it's sold. And that's the perspective of how you need to run companies. So what's the book about? I think the book is about the 9 different gears that you as an entrepreneur need to run if you're a successful perspective. And in the center part here, which people don't talk a lot about, is basically customer acquisition. Because let's face it, if you want to be and run a successful company, you need to innovate in customer acquisitions. No customers, no fun. This is the secret sauce of all the successful companies I've been part of, unlocking the innovation of driving new customers through the door. And all the most successful companies have actually done it. So that's the first learning. Second learning, you need to delight your user. You need to build the best product in the world. It's that simple. We've taken this from the hierarchy of customer needs. It basically works like this. At the top, you have delight, then you have efficiency, and then you have functionality. How many here know Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Okay, cool. Basically works the same way. You know, in the top, you have delight, and in the bottom, you have functionality. I can give you an example. This company had a very, very strong delight. What was it? Safety. The challenge here is, during a period of time, they actually increased the number of safety features, and their customer satisfaction and delight increased. But what do you think happens when all cars are as safe? Correct. It becomes a functionality. And the Swedish engineers couldn't figure it out because they kept on doing safety features. It actually ended up that the company went into Chapter 11, was bought by the Chinese. The Chinese came back with a new delight, which was basically Scandinavian design. And the company's doing okay. So if I want to urge you, as entrepreneur, as leaders, is to really think about how do I innovate in tomorrow's delight? Because tomorrow's delight will be what is acquainted by you. And I spend a lot of time with, senior leadership in most of the biggest companies today. But I'm still fascinated how much time and energy they spend on trying to unlock and work with functionality and efficiency, when they should be spending most of their time rethinking the company's delight of tomorrow. So basically, what is that friction-free storytelling that you need to tell your customers and employees? Because in the end, nailing that delight is the utmost important. It's a very simple question. What are you selling? I'm still amazed how often these large companies can't actually answer it.